Well, a very good morning and welcome to Seyfeld. Not quite as sunny as it was yesterday for the sprint events, but there is plenty of fresh snow around. And we're set for the final endurance race before the Olympic Games. The weather conditions, well, it's just above freezing. Snow temperature down at -2.8 after a fairly chilly night last night. But everything looking good. 15 Ks for the men today. They go first, and then the women going over 10 kilometers in the freestyle, exactly as the same as it will be in the Olympics in a couple of weeks' time. Now, let's have a look at the course. Quite a severe hill coming after about 1,100 meters.
Yes, it is. The new course here in Seyfeld and the World Championships course for next year. Plenty of time for recovery, but some very, very steep climbs there. And over the 15-kilometer, 4 times around this track, without a doubt, the cream is going to float to the top. And then it's all about strategy to get your best position for the final 900 meters.
Yeah, so as Mike mentioned, 4 times around the track. So that means a total of 572 meters of climbing throughout this freestyle race. What's that, about half the height of Snowdon over their 15 kilometers. It's a pretty tough ask, and a mass starter course today, so it's only going to take some 35 minutes to complete today's run. Wearing bib number 1, Maurice Magnificat. So away we go, 101 starters on the line, and Magnificat in the red bib at the front as the man who's really been best over 15 Ks this year, but his forte is the freestyle, and I don't expect him to struggle today to stay with the leaders, Mike, and with Clervaux absent, really this is being handed to Magnificat on a plate.
Well, you would, yeah, we'd expect so, but I'm just wondering, of course, being a mass start, he's very much a time trial guy, isn't he? As soon as the clock's on, he's racing himself. How can he break this pack? They'll limp it onto him, 1 man down already, quick recovery.
Yeah, that was one of the Norwegians. Was it Kruger or possibly Sundby? At this stage, we should tell you, I've already hinted at the fact that Johannes Clervaux, who won again yesterday, has decided to sit this one out. Probably wise. It's all about the Olympics now for Clervaux, who wants to compete and complete that fantastic run that he's had so far this year.
I think it's sensible, isn't it, when you looked at what happened last weekend. Planitia destroyed, as usual, the field in the sprint the day before the 15-kilometer, and he looked a little tired. Although it was a time trial, he managed second last weekend. So I think that the feeling was, let's not over-push it before the Olympics.
Yeah, as we watch Ustiakov of Russia make a move, and Ustiakov, incidentally, didn't even qualify for the top 30 in the sprint yesterday. I think he'll want to put things right today, sharpen himself up prior to the Olympics, and head to Pyeongchang with a ski boots full of confidence, as opposed to wondering what has happened to his form since the end of the Tour de Ski.
Yeah, interesting. And in a roundabout way, of course, he didn't go around the track here, the 1.4 kilometer 4 times yesterday. He only went round it once. I suppose you'll be viewing it as something of a warm-up. It's certainly looking good today. Yeah,
Magnificat holding off. Magnificat knows how to pace himself on these races. Kruger just making his way into the top 5 as well. In terms of absentees, one Andrew Musgrave is missing. Britain's undoubtedly Britain's #1 cross-country skier and their best hope for a top result in the Olympics. And we thought originally this race was on the plan, but he's decided to stay in Norway, complete a really good block of training. So he stayed at Shushan, Mike. No altitude there, so slightly surprised that he hasn't tried altitude. But over the last couple of years, he said, the one thing I've learned since Sochi is how to prepare myself for a major. And we've got to respect that, because there's no doubt that he did too much before Sochi.
Yeah, I think spot on. And you know what he did last year, although he went to Livigno last year before Lahti, the World Championships, and let's be honest, it went very well there. So this time, same structure, but back home. And I think he'll feel comfortable. Norway is like a second home for him, so he'll feel very comfortable there. Ustiakov has gone out so strong here. Look at this.
Yeah.
So who's going to close that gap? They need to be careful he doesn't run away at this early stage.
We'll see. A couple of big climbs still to come. Ustюгов, he missed the last stage of the Tour de Ski. That was a bit of a shame. It sort of all started unraveling for him in Oberstdorf, where he took a fall in a very difficult 15K race there. Mike, actually won by Iversen, who's not racing here either today. And he never seemed to recover from that.
Well, he had such... It was a strange race that, as you mentioned, 562-meter climb here. The 15K in Oberstdorf was only 242 meters climb because of the weather. They had to reroute the track. And, yeah, Ustюgov got traffic jammed about 3 times and fell certainly twice. And, yeah, and then he had to pull out of the last day of the Tour de Ski.
Niskanen sitting in 4th place, of course, the 15-kilometer world champion, but that was in a classic style race. Sundby not too far off the pace at the moment. Bjornsson is there for the United States. Heikkinen, another of the Finns, certainly capable of a top 10. But look how Ustюgov has strung this field out over the first 1.7 kilometers. No one is going to get away without hurting today.
Now, just looking at a number of athletes not starting. Callum Smith for Great Britain, unfortunately not starting today. But Andrew Young is in the race at the moment. Hope it goes well.
Polteranin for Kazakhstan. Quite a few winners over 15K freestyle so far this year, Mike. Klæbo, of course, won in Ruka. We have Magnifica in Davos, Kruger in Toblach. Cologne got the win in Lenzerheide, although Magnifica again, as he did in Ruka, producing the fastest time. Those two were pursuits. And then Iversen taking the win in Oberstdorf. But if you look down the World Cup races, what have we had? 21 races. One was cancelled, so there should have been 22. We've had 21. We've had 9 different winners this year already, but Johannes Klæbo has picked up 9 of the 21.
He's a sensation. I mean, I don't think we definitely have never seen anyone quite like it. A 21-year-old destroying the field the way that Klæbo does.
But Sundby, in his prime, he won 16 races in a season.
He did, but as you say, we're only, what, 10 races to go, and Klæbo, I think the exceptional thing with Klæbo, he hasn't attended, some 6, 7 of those World Cups, and of course, didn't attend the Tour de Ski.
Sure, yeah, so he's won 9 of 12 races that he's done, which is phenomenal.
Phenomenal, isn't it? Pitch up 9 times, 12 times, win 9 of them. Yeah, never seen any stats like that before.
And we've got another 9 races to go. After today, it will be 8. So he'll have a chance. He'll have to win 7 of the last 8 to equal Sundby's record. But I suspect you might have a little asterisk, a salbutamol asterisk, next to that 16.
well, you know what? Well, things have changed now, hopefully.
Hey, I tell you what, there's been a lot of research done on the use of asthma drugs. One stat that sticks out, we've always known that a high percentage of the Norwegian team are registered as asthmatics. I hadn't realised that 69% of their Olympic medals have been won by asthmatics. And although salbutamol in its normal small doses doesn't seem to have any effect, the Danes have done a lot of research that shows it doesn't improve your aerobic capacity, but it does increase, 1, relax obviously the costal muscles and the diaphragm, but 2, it increases the body strength.
It's amazing. I was given it once legally at an Olympic Games. They told me not to race. My lungs weren't great. Had a bad cold, and anyway, what a difference this stuff made. And I thought, blimey, if you're on this thing all the time, what an absolute difference. From weakness, I certainly felt a lot of strength that day. The pace has slowed down. Ustюgov realizing no one was going to help him out front, so he slowed it right down.
Did that not remind you of the classic race in Val di Fiemme, the penultimate stage of the Tour de Ski, where Ustюgov went off hard to try and sweep up the points and then died a bad death?
I was thinking exactly that when he went crazy at 800 meters, but he's maybe realized that his form isn't quite there. We know it hasn't been after his setbacks at the end of Tour de Ski, but he's got his sharpness back.
3.75 completed, and this course has been measured very, very accurately. So when it comes to the World Championships next year, it's exactly 15 kilometers. 7:43 on the clock. You can multiply that by 4 to work out exactly what sort of time we're going to get. Fastest 15k, Oberstdorf, but that was a slightly short course in everyone's book. 3:30 they did in Toblach, won by Kruger. That's a pretty impressive speed, and comes in at just under 27 kilometers an hour. Welcome back to Seefeld, the men's 15-kilometer well underway, and we've now got about, what, 300 meters perhaps between the front and the back of this field. A substantial field considering it's the last race before the Olympics. 101 starters today. Most teams have announced their 6 members for the Olympics, Mike. There will be 1 or 2 decisions still to be made. But although many of them will know they're going, some of them won't know they're going to race. So getting a good race today is so important.
Yes, and a quick look at the bonus sprint points there. Hooland putting himself at the front for that.
Hooland wearing 2. Number 7 in the World Cup standings at the moment. He's had a couple of podiums this year. He's never won a race, so today would be a good day to do that. Now, Mike, here's my fastball question. How many Olympic 15-kilometer freestyle champions are there?
Oh, right, so it alternates 6? Don't know.
1, Dario Cologna. From 2010 in Vancouver, because if you go back 2 Olympics from there, it was all about the pursuit, and there was no 15-kilometer freestyle.
So of course, on one day, well, technically, I mean, you had a 15 stand alone.
No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't,
on any one given day.
The freestyle was always second in the pursuit, so you never actually knew who was fastest. The first across the line got the medal. So there is only 1 15-kilometer Olympic champion in the freestyle technique. That is Dario Cologna. And of course, if he wins again, that will be 3 15Ks he's won in succession.
Oh, what a guy. And of course, 3 golds. He's got 2 at the last games. And that was on the back of that terrible injury.
Now, from your day, the 15K used to be the blue-ribboned event. Do you still give it that status?
I think it is. I think when you look at the 15K Classic at the Olympic Games, or the 15K free, it's you again. So not in the mass start format, it's you over that distance. And I think it still is. The special one, of course, is the 50-kilometer, the tough guys of cross-country skiing. And of course, that was Alex Harvey last year in Lahti.
Well, I must say, Simon Kruger, who's sitting in second place behind his teammate Hooland, is looking very, very comfortable at the moment. Magnifica in third. Dario Cologna, who we spoke about just a few minutes ago, is in 4th position. He still looks pretty comfortable. Now, Mike, in preparation for the 2014 Olympics, Dario Cologna had only done about 1 race in the season at this stage. He had a dreadful ankle injury, which makes it all the more incredible that he managed to come through and take a couple of golds.
It's quite strange, but often you see people with setbacks. They haven't gone through the pressure, all the travel of the races. You know, what have we got? 20-odd races so far, 22 World Cup races. There's a lot of traveling, a lot of stress. He was fresh in a sense, and he only had one focus: to get that ankle better and take part in Sochi. No pressure, no expectations, because that injury was so bad.
Yeah, and one of the issues that we always mention with the Norwegians is that if you want to go to the Olympics, you've firstly got to get on the national team. So you've got to have some sort of a peak in November, December to make sure you're in the squad. Then you've got to peak for the national championships, and then you've got to raise your game for the Olympic Games.
Basically, you've got to slaughter yourself about, what, 4 separate times prior to the Olympic Games, and that's a lot of mental and physical output.
Yeah, whereas Dario Cologna, provided he can get 1 ski on, is going to be in the Swiss team.
I think so, and it was great to see him after Christmas, wasn't it, to win those 2 races at home. Well, not quite home, but certainly in Switzerland, in Lenzerheide.
First 5 kilometers already covered, 11:50. It is pretty sharp. We may even beat that 33:30, which is the fastest time by Kruger in Toblach earlier this year. As I mentioned, that was just under 27 kilometers an hour. In terms of a 10,000 meters, Mike, that comes in at around 22:20. So athletes will appreciate what sort of speed these guys are going. But what you also have to take into account is the amount of climbing they're doing, over 550 meters throughout today's race.
It's huge. You know, you can't compare it to the flat running track, the 400 meters, but interesting to get a comparison of speed. But look at these climbs. This one peaks at about 18% at its steepest, but it's relentless, and it goes on for what, a full minute 15.
Yeah.
Andrew Young, incidentally, going well out there. He was 20 seconds behind it after the first lap. He's pulled that back a little, so he is moving up the field, getting into his rhythm.
Yeah, and
18 seconds behind now.
I did another calculation for you, Mike. If you could ski at this speed, it would take you 11 hours to get from Pyeongchang to Pyongyang. just in case you arrive in the wrong one.
Well, I hope there's a good snow run in between both of them. Hey, but it's pretty cold out there right now. I've heard out in Pyeongchang.
Well, what a great crowd we've got here in Seefeld, and if this is a taste of what we're going to have next year, I wouldn't be surprised, Mike, if we have the biggest crowd for any European World Nordic Championships, and I'd be looking to get in excess of 50,000 on the big days.
Yeah, I think absolutely. It's so central here in Europe, and I love that descent. My only question, my only disappointment was no real technical aspects to this track, but that was a fast descent from the high point, a sharp left-hander, then a right-hander.
Well, here's the climb, the section of the course that we saw in the sprint event yesterday, and this is where Johannes Klæbo made his mark. He absolutely flew around the corner that led into the climb, and instead of going up the hill, they brake to the left, and down they go. Now, Holland and Kruger are working hard, Mike. They've got a bit of a gap, but it's only somewhat 10, 11, 12 meters over Magnificat. It's not big enough yet.
It's not. It was significant pace change there, so clearly they're trying to work together and probably lining up for the next bonus sprints.
And I was looking for the magenta suit of one Sergei Ustiagov, who set the pace early on. I think he's paying a massive, massive price. Surely someone of his experience, Mike, shouldn't have a problem, an issue with the pacing. There he is, wearing 7. He's down in around, well, we'll see in a minute, but I think he's around 20.
Oh, there he is, yeah. And Ustiagov, he's all spirit, though, isn't he? He just goes from the gun, and if he feels good initially, he'll fight with it, but it's not always the best way.
Well, he's only 7 seconds off the lead. Maybe he did a really good warm-up, and he thought, OK, I can take these guys to task in the early stage. It might get rid of a couple of them. But now this is a dangerous situation for everyone except the Norwegians. 3 in a row. Kruger leading, Holland in second. Number 11, that's Didrik Tunseth, who's 17th in the World Cup standings.
One athlete, Patrick, that he's there or thereabouts, but he hasn't. Here's the bonus sprints. They've been lining up for this for some time, and that pace change is going to hurt them later. But Sundby has remained clever in 10th place. He's not being attracted by this pace change.
Yeah, Sundby wearing 5. You can see him in the middle of the picture, although he's probably the smallest man in the front 10 or so. Alex Harvey in front of him. Alex wearing the Canadian colours, of course, bib number 4. Now, what event do you think Harvey's going to go for this year, Mike? Freestyle, I think, is probably his strongest. Although he's good enough in the Classic to be a challenger for the skiathlon.
That's the one that sprung to mind this time. He is. He's got the Classic nailed. He can hang on and fight with anyone, but he's very tactical. So, yeah, I think that may well be his favoured medal this time round. Hurland getting the bonus sprints again a second time. Pace will calm down massively now.
Cologne is in there. Austria's Max Hauck is having a fantastic run. Wouldn't expect to see him up there. He's wearing bib number 50. So there you see the bonus sprint points, and Magnificat, Sundby, Cologne not really too bothered about them at this stage. Holland and Kruger still the leading 2. Alex Harvey doing what he does best, which is to track the leaders. And you know, although he's brilliant at tucking in behind the leaders, Mike, and making sure that he does minimal work, Harvey is a man who's bold enough to make a break, and generally he'll do that in the 50 kilometres.
Yes, we've seen him try that up in Trondheim when he took his first title there. First medal there in a 50. And he's fearless. If he's feeling good, he'll go for it.
And the pace calms down. And we're not going to have 101 in this front group, but it's not going to be far off if they keep crawling along at this speed.
Just thinking, I saw Jean-Marc Gaillard, he was gasping for air, mouth wide open. It's not really altitude here. Well, it is. You feel it at 1,200 meters. And a lot of the teams staying in this area and going up higher nearby for the final prep before the Olympics.
And a lot of the French live up at around this sort of altitude. Maurice Magnificat, for instance, lives at Thiers, which is, what, some 20, 25 kilometers east of Geneva, just north of Le Grand Bonnat in the Haute-Savoie region. And to find good snow, generally, they have to go up to 1,300 meters.
One athlete I was expecting something from today, Patrick, and maybe we'll see it later, and one country, I thought Finland, I thought we'd see them spiking up a little bit at this time. Heikkinen, like a sleeping giant, he comes good, what, once or twice a year. I thought we might be fighting. I mean, when I say good, I mean winning races.
Well, I was going to say,
he's always good.
I was going to say sleeping volcano. Every 5 years we see something spectacular. But my goodness, when he has one of those good days, it's fantastic. And Niskanen actually isn't that different, Mike. We saw him, his peak, his spike came at the World Championships last year.
Yeah, that was so impressive. He wanted that more than anybody, and he won it on the day that he wanted it most. And that's quite a skill to do. So if he gets the same thinking as last year for the Olympics, maybe again he can do it.
Bing of Germany in 10th place. Now, Thomas Bing is the best of the Germans on the Tour this year. He's ranked number 35. We only have to go back to 2004, 2005 season. Germany, well, they had Teichmann, who was first in the World Cup standings, Angerer, who was 4. They had, I think it was Sommerfeld 5, and then Philbrick was only just outside the top 10. So they had essentially 4 athletes in the top 10 of the World Cup standings at the end of the season. What's happened to them?
Well, it's a strange, when you keep an old team together, they can gel, they can make it happen. They had a great spirit, and their path was good. I can't understand how a system can fall so much when some of those guys have gone back into coaching the next generation. So the knowledge base is there. Is it talent? Is it distractions? Are they going to biathlon? I've certainly asked many people, and I've had lots of similar theories.
Some of which you can't discuss.
I can't say no. We've got a problem here. But yeah, so that was the worst possible handover of a spare pole.
Yeah, Ansi Pensinen has reason to be a little bit disappointed with that.
I think it was a kind Norwegian. I'm not sure, a Norwegian coach thinking, oops, I'll try and help out, so he just had to throw it. Let's have a look.
This is how it's not. Oh, well, okay. You have to give him credit because he wasn't going to get over that snowbank, was he?
He wasn't.
In time. So a good effort, but he might have lost the pole because a couple of others have just gone straight over it.
That's the end of that pole. Well, the pace has calmed down.
Yeah, and look who's come back to the top 4. Ustiagov has wiggled his way through the field from 16-17. He's now right on the heels of Hans Christer Holund, who's been at the front. For me, Mike, he's been at the front for too long.
He's been at the front nearly all the race, hasn't he? From the first sprints, he kept in that first 2 or 3 all the time. He's not a finisher, the Patrick, so maybe he thinks war of attrition, break them down. But let's look at it. It's not happening.
Well, if that's what you're going to do, you've got to keep the pace up, and everything eased up after that last lot of sprints. Cologne just sneaking his way up on the outside, Mike.
He is. He's making his presence known. Oops. Oh, dear.
It doesn't hurt that much.
Got his fingertips. We'll see this descent now. They've got to the high point. This is the fastest part of the track, and it is quite technical. Look at that. You've got to be a little careful. Big speed coming down here, 65 kilometers.
Yeah, if we get an icy day, it'll be very interesting. So almost 23 minutes on the clock in this men's 15-kilometre. We've got another 10 minutes or so to go of racing before we find out who wins the last race before the Olympic Games. Back in 2010, the last time, the only time we've had a 15-kilometre free at the Olympics, it was Giorgio De Centa who won the pre-Olympic race with Pietro Pillicotra. So the Italians are obviously in good form. That was in Canmore. Then, of course, they went across to Vancouver, and Pillicotra actually ended up getting the silver medal in that 15K.
Well, Italians, of course, we've got Pellegrino doing so well in the sprinting, and Lucas Bauer was always there or thereabouts. Hellner not racing today. He was fourth then, and I think we'll see Hellner and hopefully Emil Jonsson putting it together at the Olympics so well.
Sumbi is there, but already breathing hard. He's on the right-hand side as we look at them, and just tucked in behind the red bib of Maurice Magnificat. Tonseth with a turn in the lead, 23.58 as they go through the 11.25. One lap to go here in Seefeld, and two big climbs on this loop, and that's generally where the non-sprinters will try and get away. I suspect even the sprinters are going to have to try and make a move on the summit of the second climb, Mike.
The second, absolutely, 2.5 kilometers from here, the final rise. Well, that's the big descent, so I think it may even wait till the very big climb where we saw that fast descent back down into the stadium.
And what do you make of the finish? It's going to be slightly different from the sprint. Is there anyone who can leave it for the last 200 metres?
Only, he's not in it today, but only Klæbo for next year. At the World Championships, when you think of the turn of pace he has. And of course, Ustjugov today, he's back in the fight. I think he can smash them all in that final section today if he's with it.
Yeah, the World Cup field have had 8 years of learning how to deal with Petter Northug. Finally, I think they've seen the back of him. Northug not qualifying for the Norwegian team this year. But, Mike, Northug's gone. Klæbo has taken his place, and they're similar sort of racers in that they can hang with the pace, but they can produce a devastating sprint, however tired they are.
Incredible, yeah, and to lose Northug, yet to find this precious gem. What about Max Aub, the man from Ramsau? He's deciding from, well, rank 50th, if you like, to take it on. That was a fearsome fight up the big climb.
Well, you can tell he's not used to being in front because he's constantly looking over his shoulder. He needs a bit of assistance up there. I think it's still a little bit too early to go. Lots of free skating. Certainly in the sprint yesterday, Mike, I saw that the free skate is a technique that can be used a lot on these courses, and I think there'll be a few people practicing it over the summer months.
Yeah, especially from the high point, the very steep climb with just, what, 900 to go. If when you get down off that descent, you can gain a lot on the flat section there. Just looking at the Russian suits, what colour?
Magenta we're going for.
Dagmar, I think, comes up with plum, and that's a cracker. But I think I'm thinking more maroon. Tell you what, it's a good time, 26.26 into the final stages of the 15-kilometre.
So this is the first part of the climbing, and they'll reach the top of this, a short descent before they then continue the climb, and then a very quick descent down to just over the 2.2 kilometre stage. Remember, it's a 3.75 kilometre loop. Number 11, Tonseth, he's not been out of the top 5, I don't think, nor has Holland, who's wearing 2, and Dari Colonia has decided to go very, very early. He doesn't want to get caught up in a sprint.
Oh, it's one man down there. The terrain here, look at the climb on the right. It's a long, long climb up to this high point. Just for Huntly fans, Andrew Young, 45th at the moment, only 36 seconds behind.
But fantastic run from Andrew Young. His best hope's still the sprint. A bit disappointed yesterday, Mike, only a fraction of a second outside qualifying for the knockout phases. I was really looking forward to seeing how he coped with the course.
I think he was very disappointed not to make that cutoff, but of course Klæbo was, what, he broke the field by nearly 5 seconds again. So Andrew's time was good in relation to all of the rest of the best.
Candide Prolong there, in all sorts of trouble. And some slick work again from the team coaches to provide him with a spare pole, but his chance of getting caught up in the sprint has gone with that mistake.
No, just thinking, of course, Colonia has found his sprinting again. He's setting himself up nicely at the front. Where's Sumbi, the sleeping giant, hasn't done too much yet.
Well, Sumbi's still around 7th, 8th position. Bing still going well, only 3.5 back. Ustigov up and down. He's back to 15th at the moment, but don't rule him out quite yet. Devon Kershaw of Canada, maybe a little bit too far off the mark to hope to challenge today. So in this leading group, Poland ahead of Colonia, and is that Magnifica, or it may be one of the other French in there. In fact, it's number 18, which is Clément Paris of France. Gaillard has been in the mix as well. Well, this is very, very quick, Mike.
It is. It's a brutal course. All those rest sections, it's quite technical on most of them.
So, quite a long section of downhill, and really just one big climb still to go.
There's certainly another top athlete in this group without a pole. Coach needs to be a little careful. It must be Gaillard.
Well, if he stays in the race, that's good work. I think it was the coach on the right-hand side. I think it might have been Clément Paris, actually, who missed out. So Colonia suddenly goes for broke. Alex Harvey trying to go with him, the 50-kilometre world champion. Number 11, Tonseth, is starting to struggle and losing ground. Sumbi needs to work hard. He's on the right-hand side of your picture with Magnifica behind him. But this is the sort of form we saw in Sochi from Dario Colonia. Look at the work rate coming in. He knew this was where to make the break, and he's got some 12, 13 metres. Harvey's a spent force. Now Sumbi tries to find something, moves up into second place, but Colonia has won it on the biggest climb, and he obviously, Mike, has done a lot of research on the course. Look at that margin that he's built.
Well, it looks like a safe margin now, but his legs will be absolutely screaming. Just needs to hold this balance here to destroy the best in the world in that climb. That takes a lot of effort.
Disappointed to get knocked out in the first in the semi-finals yesterday in the sprint, Dario Colonia. He looked on pretty good form, and this, of course, is a very similar track. They came along here. He looks through the legs just to see how much of a margin he's open. Suddenly, Alex Harvey finds a second wind. Sumbi fighting for a podium place, but I think first is gone, and it's going to go to the 15-kilometre Olympic champion, Dario Colonia, who's still full of running.
Well, do you know what? This is Colonia back to his best. He was maybe at his best, what, 5 years ago, and he's got it back again. He's unlocked that door. What a race.
A 180-degree turn for Colonia, and then he heads back towards the stadium, and that margin's gone from 20 to 30 metres. The fight between second and third's an interesting one. I think Alex Harvey is a superior sprinter to Sumbi of Norway, and actually Harvey accelerating over the top. Good discipline from him. He's should be able to claim second place here, but the victory goes to Dario Colonia, and all he's got to do now is keep this form for another 3 weeks. The 15-kilometre on the 16th of February, 31:37, quickest 15k of the season so far, and it's Colonia of Switzerland who takes the win. And after Van der Graaf picked up a win in the sprint yesterday, a brilliant weekend for the Swiss.
Oh, very much. I think we all knew, Patrick, that was the place to go if the pack were still together, but you still need incredible strength, technique and fitness, and Colonia was the only one to really nail that hill.
And it's the same climb that they did in the men's sprint yesterday, Mike, so they're going to know it well come the end of the World Championships next year, and it's just long enough to take the sting out of the sprinters. So it's homemade for Dario Colonia. Sumbi, I think, probably let Colonia get, 5-6 metres clear before the bottom of the hill, and that was a bad mistake.
I think it was, and Colonia was clever. He never really did much work at the front. He always kept himself in a safe place, if that's possible, and then purely and simply ready for that final pounce.
Clément Paris a little unlucky. That could have been so good for him, but he had a broken pole with 2 to go. Lucas Bergel of Germany just crawling across the line. It's taken the toll out of these athletes here, but it would be nice to get you, as you see, Andrew Young, 41st position, 1:18 behind. Actually, that's not a bad run from Andrew Young at all, and shows that he's in good form. All we've got to hope for, Mike, is that he can get safely through the qualifying of the sprint event, which incidentally is 13th of Feb. But I think we have to say it's a classic sprint, not a freestyle sprint.
Yes, maybe it doesn't quite suit him as well. He did show last year and this season he's improved in his classic. And there he is, congratulating Dario.
Well, welcome back to Seyfeld. If you've just joined us, you have missed a tremendous race. The men's 15-kilometer freestyle won by Dario Cologna, his 25th World Cup win. Don't forget, he's 4 times the overall World Cup winner. He's won the Tour de Ski 4 times. He's got 3 Olympic golds to hang up on the wall at home. And he really is the master of peaking. He knows exactly how to get himself in shape prior to the Olympics.
Exactly, Patrick. Remember, 4 years ago, almost to the weekend, he took part in his first comeback after that bad ankle injury in Toblach. It was 15-kilometer classic. He came second then, 2.9 seconds behind Legkov. And he's in great form again this time, 4 years later.
Lasnik of Austria just coming in, the best of the Austrians. We'll try and find out exactly where Max Hauk finished. He was right up with the leaders with about 4K to go.
14th, it's still very good.
Down in 14th place, but that's a PB for him for the season, so that shows promise. Alex Harvey, the 50-kilometer world champion, has finished in 2nd place. Now, his fans mostly live on the banks of the St. Lawrence, so I think they'll have enjoyed that one. No Olympic medals to his name at the moment for Alex Harvey, just the same as Pierre Harvey, his dad. But Alex, you know, he showed great form in Lahti last year, Mike. I think this could be the time he betters his PB of 4.
That would be very, very good to see. And certainly Alex Harvey, the form is there. We saw him in the race attacking, and technically he's all there. Didn't have the strength in the final climb, but 2nd place, let's be honest, he's there.
And what about Sumbi? Did you see anything that shows you he is finally going to get an individual win at the Olympics?
He's not a finisher. We saw that again today, although 3rd is excellent. But to get the big medals, it's the likes of Northug. You need a sprint. And I think we alluded to Cologna has got his sprinting legs back, and he managed to cope with that final attack.
Well, that would have been an interesting battle with one Johannes Husvlet-Klæbo. Would it have been Cologna? Would it have been Klæbo?
Well, I would love to have seen that.
Yeah.
I think Cologna going so far out, would Klæbo have been able to stay with it? Yeah, his technique's so good on a steep climb, Klæbo. His tempo, his ease over the track, it's efficient. Everyone else is laboured and tight and stiff. He just dances. He's got a lovely technique up steep climbs.
So just to remind you, Cologna with the win, which will close the gap on the top 3. Actually, he might go ahead of Sumbi. It's very close between those two, so he might move up to 2nd place. We'll wait for the official stats on that. Sumbi, though, has picked up 60 points. Cologna's picked up the full 100, so 40 between them. And my calculations say that Cologna is now 2 points behind Sumbi in the World Cup standings. But Klæbo, despite not being here, is still the world #1.
Head and shoulders above. Tunseth, we always mention he's a great athlete. If it was a time trial, he could maybe win, but he was 4th today. He's not a finisher, but without a doubt, he's earned himself a place, I think, in the Olympic relay, alongside maybe Kruger, who finished 6th, 7 seconds behind.
And don't forget, the Olympic freestyle is a time trial event. So what a race, 101 starters. They were spread out initially thanks to the early pace from Ustiakov, and then they all grouped together. We've got the women's slalom coming from Lenzerheide, a full program here on Eurosport of Wintersport. Hope you can stay with us throughout the rest of today. But well done to Dario Cologna, notches up his 25th World Cup win.